Hello everyone. My name is Vimal Raj. I'm a lecturer from GEMS Polytechnic College from the department Mechanical. So today we're going to discuss with the first unit, that is Introduction to Pollution, and the topic that we're going to discuss is Food Chain and Pollution Control Acts. So this is from the subject Environmental and Pollution Control. So the content for today's lecture is Food Chain in Ecosystem and Environmental Pollution Control Act. Food chain and ecosystem. A food chain is an ecosystem in a series of organisms in which each organism feeds on the one below it in the series. So, what is a food chain? Food chain is nothing but, uh, as we discussed in the lecture 1 video, that is ecosystem. The food chain is nothing but like depending on other animals for their food, depending on one another for the food. That is called the food chain in ecosystem, wherein which other organisms depend on another living organism for their food and for their survival. So in a forest ecosystem, like grass is eaten by a deer, which in turn is eaten by a tiger. The grass, deer and tiger from the food chain. In this food chain, energy flows from the grass producer to the deer, primary consumer, to the tiger, the secondary consumer. So where in which here it says that the grass is eaten by a deer, and where in which the deer is in turn eaten by a tiger. So the grass and deer and tiger from a food chain. So in this food chain is nothing but energy flows from the grass. So grass will be the producer, and deer is the primary consumer, and tiger will be the secondary consumer. That means the deer is totally depend on grass for the food, and the tiger is totally depend on the deer for the food. So that is called the food chain. So a food chain in a grassland ecosystem may consist of grasses and other plants, grasshoppers, frogs, snakes and hawks. So in a freshwater aquatic ecosystem like a ponds, the organisms in the food chain includes algae, small animals, insects and their larvae, small fishes, big fishes and fish eating birds or animals. So this is a picture shows that. So see, grass is eaten by a primary consumer, that is a grasshopper, and the grasshopper is eaten by a frog, that's a secondary consumer, and then the frog is eaten by a snake, that's a tertiary consumer, and after that the final consumer would be the hawk, where in which the snake was eaten by a hawk, and again the hawk, if the hawk dies, it goes to a decomposer, so it turns as a fungi. So this is the actual food chain. So a food chain always begins with producer, that is herbivorous. So always the food chain will be a producer, that is the herbivorous, that is a plant eater, comes next in the chain. So plant eater will be the next in the food chain. So they are consumed by the carnivorous, that is a flesh eaters. So wherein which first the grass is been eaten by the grasshopper, and the grasshopper is eaten by a secondary consumer, that is the frog. So the frog will be the flesh eaters, that is the frog will be the food for the flesh eater snake. So a few food chains can be long and may extend to the fourth, so fifth or even sixth order of consumers. So this is how the food chain works. So some of the examples for the food chain would be like plants will be eaten by deer, and deer will be eaten by lion. So in other cases the plants will be eaten by the worm, and worm will be eaten by the bird, and bird will be eaten by the cat. And in some other examples the plants will be eaten by the grasshoppers, and the grasshoppers will be eaten by the frog, and frogs will be eaten by the snakes, and snakes will be eaten by the hawk. So in other example it would be like algae, which is like algae will be eaten by a small animal, and then it goes to the small fish and big fish and birds. So that is the food chain. So now we will see a video. So this is a video that you would have seen it, and I hope you guys would have understand the video. So now the next topic that we're going to discuss about is the Environmental and the Pollution Control Acts. So previously we were discussing that the pollution was plays a major role, right? I was talking about the water pollution, soil pollution, noise pollution, air pollution. So many pollutions are there, which is causing a major trouble for the human being. And that pollution is being created not only by the natural activities, but also by the human-made activities. So which cause a major threat for the living being as well as the uh, aquatic lives. So these are the pollution control acts which has been insisted by the government in order to follow these pollution control acts. So which is majorly being used and has been given by the government to follow so that no problem occurs. The first thing that we're going to discuss is the National Green Tribunal Act that has been launched, that has been came into force in 2010. So this is the first act, that is the National Green Tribunal Act, and the next one is the Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1981. So basically this act is all about the preventing of air pollution, and basically one more thing is how to control the air pollution. Next one is the Water Prevention and Control Act, that is insisted in 1974, which is like preventing of the water pollution and to control the pollution. And the Environmental Pollution Control Act, that is 1986, that is Environment Protection Act 1986. So this is to protect the environment from the harmful pollution. The last one is the hazardous waste management regulations. So hazardous waste management regulations is nothing but the how to manage the waste that has been coming from the factories, that is the toxic factories, chemical factories, chemical industries, those things. So the National Green Tribunal Act 2010. So the National Green Tribunal Act 2010 has been enacted with the objectives to provide for establishment of a national green tribunal for the effective and expeditious disposal of cases relating to environment protection and conservation of forest and other natural resources, including enforcement of any legal right relating to environment and giving relief and compensation for damage to persons and property and for matters connected therewith or incidental thereto. So basically it's to the conservation, that is the protection of the forest and other natural resources. So basically we all see that nowadays the forest has been, nowadays the forest has been totally been demolished, and people used to cut the trees in the forest and kill the wild animals and try to build some big industries and factories, so which cause a major threat to the human being. So this has to be controlled. This has to be controlled, wherein which this National Green Tribunal Act came into force. So when this National Tribunal Act came into force, it is to conserve the forest and other natural resources, including the enforcement of any illegal rights relating to the environment and giving relief and compensation for the damaged for persons. So this act received the assent of the Prime President of India on June 2, 2010, and was enforced by the central government by notification. It was enforced by the central government wide notification and dated on October 18, 2010. With effect from October 18, 2010, the Act envisages establishment of NGT in order to deal with all the environmental laws. So basically, this law has been enforced in order to control this, destroying the forest, all those things. Okay. The consequence to enforcement of National Green Tribunal Act 2010 and National Enforcement Tribunal Act 1995, and the so this is to the this has been established in order to prevent the destroying of the forest. So that was the main motive of this act. Next one is the Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1981. So the Air Prevention Control Act, the Air Act, is an act to provide for the prevention, control and abatement of air pollution and for establishment of both at the central and the state levels with a view to carry out the aforesaid purposes. So, to counter the problem associated with air pollution, ambient air quality standards were established under the Air Act. So, basically, this act is being introduced in order to prevent the pollution, control the pollution. Basically, prevention is nothing but uh, to reduce, to fight against the pollution, or in order to not to increase the pollution. That's called the prevention. Control is nothing but, if suppose for example, the best example is the coronavirus. So prevention is there, controlling is there. Controlling is nothing but putting the lockdown is nothing but to control the coronavirus, and prevention is in what way we can prevent. So like doing the hand wash and following the social distancing, that's a prevention. So these both the acts, air prevention and control pollution, has been implemented in order to control the air pollution, because we know that Delhi is one of the top polluted cities in the world. So top 10, if you take the top 10 cities in the world which is polluted, that is Delhi comes under the top 10. So that means that much pollutions are there in Delhi. So if we see that if the pollution is increasing day by day, what happens is uh, the source of oxygen level will be decreasing, and you know what, the survival for the human beings and the animal beings, all these things will be at a great major risk. So this air prevention and control of pollution came into act in order to control as well as to prevent the air pollution. So this is for the state as well as the central type. So they will carry certain levels of uh, standards in order to control the pollutions. So under this act, the establishing or operating any industrial plants in the pollution control area requires consent from SPCBs, and SPCB are also expected to test the air in the air pollution control areas, inspect pollution control equipments and manufacturing process. So they will be checking they will do the inspection on the equipments to control as well as the manufacturing process. So they will go by industry wise industries, and they will check whether these are the problems that is causing, and whether they have this controlling measures, all those things, whether they are implementing all those things. They will go ahead and check, and they will do it. The Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1974. The Water Prevention Control, this is called the Water Act. So basically enacted to provide for the prevention and control of water pollution and to maintain or restore wholesomeness of water in the country. It further provides for the establishment of boards for the prevention and control of water pollution with a view to carry out the aforesaid purposes. The Water Act prohibits the discharge of pollutants into water bodies beyond a given standard and lays down penalties for non-compliance. At the center, the Water Act has set up the CBCB, which lays down standards for the prevention and control of pollution. So this is nothing but, this is an act in order to provide the water pollution, and we all know 3/4 of the world is being surrounded with water, and you know what, all the agriculture purpose, fishing, everything depends on water. So if the water gets polluted, and we all know that even human can survive without food, but we cannot survive without water. So water is a necessity mean in all the area. So what if the water gets polluted? It will be very 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 tough situation that we cannot go and we cannot get a pure water. It will be in a very drastic situation. So Water and Prevention Control Act came into play, wherein which they will be checking the standards, like for example whether they are checking the industries which is situated next to the river sides or the ocean sides, because if suppose they are seeing any of these things, they will go and they will seal the company, because the waste disposals from the industries will directly go to the sea and the oceans. So when it mixes, it will be reducing the oxygen level in the ocean, as well as it will take out the minerals and all the tedious contents in the water. So obviously what happens, the aquatic life will be totally demolished, as well as if the water has been consumed by humans, it will cause a major disease for them. So this is another way where in which the Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act came. So that was implemented in 1974. Environmental Pollution Act 1986. So this Environment Pollution Act, this is called the Environment Act, provides the protection and the improvement of environment. The Environment Protection Act established the framework for studying, planning and implementing long-term requirements of environmental safety and laying down a system of speedy and adequate response to situation threatening the environment. It is an umbrella legislation designed to provide a framework for the coordination of central and state authorities established under the Water Act. So this is the Environment Protection Act, basically in order to safeguard the environment. So the environment is nothing but the area that we live. Interaction of different beings in a particular place is called the environment. So in the same area, human beings are living, trees are there, animals are there. In order to prevent the environment, they introduced this Environment Protection Act, that is by 1986. So in order to have a nice environment where which all the living beings should be interacting in a common place where nothing should be a problem. So this is the Environment Protection Act. Under the Environment Act, the central government is empowered to take measures necessary to protect and improve the quality of environment by setting standards for the emission and discharge of pollution in the atmosphere. So this comes under all the acts will be coming under this, where in which have to have maintain a standard of quality for the pollution, where in which how much pollution should be there, how much wastages can come out of a vehicle, from industry, from all those things. So they set a quality standard, the quality of environment, as well as they will also see by any person carrying on any industries or activities, regulating the location of industries, management of hazardous waste, and protection of public health and welfare from time to time. So everything will be coming under this Environment Protection Act 1986. So according to the Environment Protection Act 1986, things that happens in around an environment that carries soil pollution, whatever the pollution could be, so whether they go according to the standards. So that is the Environment Pollution Act. So hazardous waste management regulation. So hazardous waste means any waste which by reasons of any of its physical, chemical, reactive, toxic, flammable, explosive or corrosive characteristics cause danger or is likely to cause cancer to health or environment, whether alone or when in contact with other waste or substances. So hazardous waste management, as I was saying, that the chemical, the radioactive things, the reactive things, the toxic, flammable, explosive, corrosive characteristics which has this kind of things, where they are dumping these things, because when the factories or chemical factories are happening, which will cause a major pollution, because it not only causes a pollution, it also kills a human being, wherein the health can be in a major trouble. So there are several legislations that directly or indirectly deal with the hazardous waste. That is the relevant legislation, the Factories Act 1948, the Public Liability Insurance Act 1991, the National Environment Tribunal Act 1995, and the rules and the notification under the Environmental Act. Some of the rules dealing with the hazardous waste management are discussed below. So these are hazardous waste management, like management, handling and transboundary rules 2008. So brought out a guidance of manufacture, storage and import of hazardous chemical and for the management of hazardous waste, to how to manufacture this, how to store it, and how to import or export those things. So this act helps to do that. Next one is the biomedical waste, that is the management and handling rules 1985, were formulated along parallel lines for proper disposal, segregation, transport. That is the this is example infectious waste. So this has been leaked out, may cause infection to the people. So proper disposal, like where they're disposing it, are they dumping it just nearby the areas, seashore areas or riverside areas, or they're properly dumping on their waste areas where it should be dumped properly. So they will check all those things. And municipal solid waste, that is aimed to enabling municipality to dispose of municipal solid waste in a scientific manner. So solid waste, we all know that, right? So solid waste, whether they doing it in a scientific manner in order to whether they're dumping all those things in a in a public area, or they're doing it in a separate area. So these are the hazardous waste management system. So basically these rules, all the acts came in order to control the pollution. So I hope you guys would have understand all those things that have been discussed in this video. So let's go for the summary. So today we have discussed about in detail study on food chain and ecosystem, how the food chain happens, and also we had a study on various pollution control acts. So that is the next thing. So these are the reference book that you can go and you can have a idea. So thank you guys. Thank you for seeing this video. So we will cover the next topic in the next video. I hope you will see you next video. Bye. Take care.